When the sun rises in the east early in the morning, and if you're in a tall building, you go to the west side of that building, you open a window in the west, and what happens? The sunlight floods into the room and illuminates the whole room, even though the sun is on the horizon in the east. How can the light from the sun reverse back and penetrate the room and illuminate the whole room? That's because the light that's coming into that window is not from the sun. It's as simple as that. So now what I'm telling you and what we're discussing goes against the grain. I know it does, but we're going to prove it. So before you have a knee-jerk reaction and start throwing things around, chill out, be calm, and pay attention. So look at the silver ball. You see the surface of the ball is round. That means the light is coming to the ball and coming straight back into your eye. The surface of the ball is round, but the light is straight. How do we know? Well, look at the shadows of the people. Remember, it's a mirror image, so the light is behind the photographer. How can the shadows on the left point towards the sun? It's impossible. So from this mirror ball image, we understand that light travels in a straight line. It hits the surface of this ball and comes straight into your eye. The ball is curved, the light is reflecting straight. And the horizon on this ball, flat and straight. You see, if light bends, everything will be distorted, as you see in this ball image. The same would apply to the flat earth that we live on. Light travels in straight lines. That's why the reflection on this ball is the way it is. Things are in their relative position, their correct position where they are in 3D space around you, but it's been reflected back into your eye. So here's a ball. In other words, if light was bending, objects would be in different positions. You see, the objects wouldn't be in the right position. The light has to travel in a straight line, and that's why objects on the horizon and everything you see around you is in its correct position, because light travels in a straight line. The other issue is, look at the light. When the light is in front of you, how can the back end of the ball be lit? It's impossible. How can that one light source light up the sky and reflect back into this ball with one light source? It's impossible. So, if the earth was a ball, as you move around, the light will be reflecting off that ball in different angles. So at midday, the sun's above, things on the horizon, the light will be reflecting away from you. And we don't see this. The light is constant. That means we're living on a flat plane. The light and the shadows don't change. They don't change angles during the course of the day. They stay constant. So as the sun turns and it's moving, the angle of the shadow changes with regard to where the sun is. So let's go back to that moonshot, this painting of the moonlight. You see, in the day, another light source must be lighting the sky. Because if you only had one light source, night and day would look the same. You'd have a harsher light in the day and a lesser light at night time. And this is undeniable. You can't escape this fact. So to help us understand this, we're gonna look at buildings on the horizon. So you'll see, for example, if the sun's in front of you. Now the sun travels across. If there's only one light source, the back end of the building cannot be illuminated because the light can't bend around those buildings and illuminate the back of those buildings. It's simply impossible. So something else is happening. You see, this happens at night time because you have one light source at night. It's the moon. The same would happen during the day, just that the light would be stronger in the day. This light that's supposed to be in outer space cannot turn the sky blue. It's physically impossible. So this is not what we see. Your life on earth, if the sun was giving us, it was the only light source in the day, our lives would be miserable. In fact, we wouldn't survive. This is not what we see. Yet in the day, the lights in front of you, the back end of the building is illuminated. Tells you that there must be two light sources in the day. You're going to say, well, that's insane. Well, go outside, use your eyes and look. What we've been taught about the world we live in is an illusion. It's fantasy. So, as the Bible says, in the beginning, God created light. Let there be light. That was in day one. This is the light of day. It's not the same as the sunlight. He divided the light into dark and light. How Jehovah did this, I don't know. Then on day two, he created a dome. And as Job said, he beat out the skies like a molten mirror. 2 Peter says that the heavens stand firm. Daniel tells us that those in the last days, there will be some that will shine brightly like the heavens, like the firmament. So a photographer would do the same. You see, a photographer has a person standing there. He cannot use one light source. He would use a soft light, he would use a reflector, and then he would use a hard light. And it's these aspects of these lights together he can illuminate the person or the object properly. So there's a lion, right? He would take a soft box. This would create the light of day, the ambient light. He would use a reflector on the opposite side. And then he would take a hard light, which is like the sun, and he would move that hard light around until he's happy with the lighting. And it's only in this way that he can illuminate a 3D object in 3D space. And this is the way the world works. A photographer cannot illuminate a 3D object with one light. It's physically impossible. Now, if there was only the sunlight, your world would be a nightmare. It would be ugly. So, we have the light of day, a reflector, a dome, like a molten mirror covering the earth, and we have the sun. And it's the sun that gives us the hard shadows and the hard light. And it's the combination of these three things, the two lights and the reflector, that we see the way we do. If there was no reflector, right, and there was no dome, right, so the light's not working from them, and we only have the sun, well, this is what the whole day would look like. The only time you'd see objects lit is when the sun was behind you. Your world would be like a horror movie. And that's a fact. Go try it out. We know this. The crazy thing is that we know this and we understand this, but when we go outside in the real world, we've been so brainwashed that we don't think. We don't appreciate or respect the creation. So here's the moon. The moon cannot illuminate the sky. It just simply cannot. It can't give light into the sky. So some people have taken images like this and have said, well, what is that second sun doing there? This is not a lens reflection because it's behind the clouds. And people look at this and say, what's going on here? What on earth am I seeing? Well, you're seeing the sun reflect off the dome. And as Job said, that dome is like a molten mirror, beat out. And we're going to look at this in detail, some more detail. You see, here's another image. People look at this and say, well, what's going on? What am I seeing? And people talk about another planet, Nibiru. And you're just seeing the reflection of the sun on the dome. And this is not a lens flare because you see the reflection in the reflection of the water. And people take video footage of things like this and they're astounded. Now, especially in colder areas when there's no moisture in the air, we see this all the time. Now, I've worked in the Mascarene Islands, and during the cyclones, the moisture in the air evaporates. And you see images like this during those periods of the year. And most people look at it and ponder it, but the reality of what it actually is and what they are seeing escapes them. Like the people taking this video, no idea. They just say, wow, it's amazing. Here's people in the Amazon. So obviously after it rained or it's extremely dry in the heat of the day, and they see this and wonder, look at this. While you're seeing the sun reflect off the dome. It's as simple as that. If the earth was a ball spinning around in space, well, explain how that's happening. If we just spend some time pondering on the creation, you'll see a different world to the one you were taught to believe in. It's as simple as that. This is the real world. This is reality. And these things give evidence that there is a creator. A powerful, powerful creator. Who has all these things under his power and control. So as the sun sets, watch the light reflect off the dome and it moves with the sun. And there are two of those lights. So if I tell you, well, the earth has a dome and it has two light sources and these sources are orbiting around the earth, you'd say I'm crazy. But the evidence is there. Perspective. And many artists and painters and photographers and cinematographers who work with light, they know this and they give you clues in their movies and they give you clues in their paintings, because if they come and tell you outright you're living on a flat plane under a dome, people will start having convulsions. So here's an image, and we see these images in the day of a city scene and of night. Two different light. A light source of the moon cannot illuminate the back end of the building. The same with the sunlight. You need another light source. And you need a reflector. That's how we see 3D objects in 3D space illuminated. So back onto the flat earth. You see, people take images like this all the time. The boats and the buildings aren't sinking below the horizon. Yet there are unscrupulous people, and they know who they are, who will go and cut up images and paste images together and say, well, there you go. You know, there are buildings sinking below the horizon, and yet another man will go with this and take a photograph like this, where it's not happening. Buildings just simply get smaller in the distance. None of them, the bridges and the buildings aren't falling over the horizon. No, they just get smaller and smaller in the distance. It's perspective. Bridges don't fall over, buildings don't fall over. So you must understand that there is being an all-out effort to convince you the earth's a ball, and it's simply not. So at reflections, no matter how high an object is from you, its reflection is always underneath it. And the light source, look at the light. One light source like this cannot illuminate the blue sky because the light's coming straight in your face. And we see, as you move your position, we see the images and the reflections always above, below. No matter how you move your position, tells you that the ocean is flat. It's the only way that this is possible. You see, if the earth was a ball, these things would all be deformed and would be in different positions. A bird flying in the sky, or a cloud far away, or that light streak in the sky. Its position cannot be underneath it in proportion. So, no artist or master painted things falling over and things sinking below the horizon. They understood light, they understood perspective, they understood reflections. These three things together tell us that the earth is flat. We've just been lied to. The reality is, this is what you see with your eyes, and then NASA comes with a silly ball cartoon. And this is the reality. You see, the real influence for these artists was the Creator. Because the greatest artist and painter of light is the Creator. And the Bible says his name is Jehovah. And he's the greatest artist. He paints in real light, the real thing. We can only imitate what the Creator does. The Creator is a wonderful, marvelous artist. And his creation sings, not just in light, but in sound. It's astounding. It's been an absolute privilege to live and see the work of this Creator. I was born, I didn't deserve to see this and understand it. What an absolute privilege. And so, the common sense tells you, if I see this painting, who painted that? You want to learn about this because you're astounded, saying that's beautiful. When I see this, I ask myself, well, who's painted this? How is it that I can see this and is painting this in my mind with light? And it moves, and it's awesome to look at. We see a gentleness, a loving kindness that is astounding. But unfortunately, we live in a wicked system ruled by despots, psychopaths, who don't want you to see and listen and think. They don't want you to be free. They want you to believe that this stuff just evolved. I mean, look at this. Come on. This evolved? Really? And it's flat. Say what you want to. Your eyes and your mind tells you it's flat. So we need to take time to look and appreciate and meditate and think on these things. And we'll see. No doubt about it. There's a Creator. And the quality of this Creator possesses is truly astounding. So the world we're living in is sinking. This illusion is falling apart. And their silly little sun god Helios, also called Apollo, is not a real god. They're just demons. Satan and demons. They don't have the power of the Creator. They want to be worshipped by men and honored by men and treated like gods, but they're not gods. So why would we go and honor them and worship them? They don't deserve it. The Creator does, because He created everything. So the only way that demons and Satan can get worship from you is through trickery and deception. So why would we allow ourselves to be deceived and worship these non-entities? Really? And what are we paid back with? This is our reality. They get us to kill each other and hate each other so they can consolidate their power and become more powerful. And we are blinded by hatred, pride, arrogance. And we go to war. I mean, look at this. When are we going to learn? At what point are we going to say something is horribly wrong? Something is not right. This is not normal for humans to do this to each other. Yet there will be people who are prepared to take money and betray their fellow man. And they don't care. They know the truth. They simply don't care. The only peace that they want is this, when everything is dead. That is peace for them, because there's no life. When are we going to wake up? So the Queen of Heaven, the light that the Queen of Heaven gives is, this is the demonic forces. It's false, it's fake. So because of this, we find ourselves in dire straits. Nations not knowing the way out, turmoil, rioting. People are in a thick gloom because of these oppressive psychopaths.
Okay, people, my name is Dana. This is my very first YouTube video ever. I've got something here that I don't quite understand, and I'm hoping maybe someone out there can explain it to me. I've been doing a lot of research on the flat earth and the firmament, things like that. This is a set of encyclopedias I have. They're Encyclopedia Americana. This is volume 2. It's the A's. What we're going to do is look at what it says about Antarctica. Just remember, this is a 1958 edition. Okay, this was before the Antarctic Treaty was signed. This was before the supposed Apollo missions. I want to show you something that it says in here about Antarctica. It basically talks about all the exploration. It says here, Antarctic regions, all the exploration. It has a few photos, not too many. This is the map created back then. I've read all of this. This is the part here that I have the question about. I am trying my best to get some light on here really good. Like I said, this is my first video. Don't criticize me too much. I have no idea what I'm doing. Let's see. Okay, I hope you can see this. They did flights, and it says, these flights prove the inland areas to be featureless in character, with a dome 13,000 feet high at about latitude 80 degrees south, longitude 90 degrees east. Okay, I have no idea what that means. There seems to be only one definition for the word dome. Anyway, if anybody has any idea what this means, can explain this to me, I would appreciate it. Okay, thanks.
As sunlight floods into the room and illuminates the whole room, even though the sun is on the horizon in the east. How can the light from the sun reverse back and penetrate the room and illuminate the whole room? That's because the light that's coming into that window is not from the sun. It's as simple as that. So now what I'm telling you and what we're discussing goes against the grain. I know it does, but we're going to prove it. So before you have a knee-jerk reaction and start throwing things around, chill out, be calm, and pay attention. So look at the silver ball. You see the surface of the ball is round. That means the light is coming to the ball and coming straight back into your eye. The surface of the ball is round. Things are in their relative position, their correct position where they are in 3D space around you, but it's been reflected back into your eye. So here's a ball. In other words, if light was bending, objects would be in different positions. You see, the objects wouldn't be in the right position. The light has to travel in a straight line, and that's why objects on the horizon and everything you see around you is in its correct position, because light travels in a straight line. The other issue is, look at the light. When the light is in front of you, how can the back end of the ball be lit? It's impossible. How can that one light source light up the sky and reflect back into this ball with one light source? It's impossible. So, if the earth was a ball, as you move around, the light will be refracting off that ball in different angles. So at midday, the sun's above, things on the horizon, the light will be refracting away from you. And we don't see this. The light is constant. It means we're living on a flat plane. The light and the shadows don't change. They don't change angles during the course of the day. They stay constant. So as the sun turns and it's moving, the angle of the shadow changes with regard to where the sun is. So let's go back to that moon shot, this painting of the moonlight. You see, in the day, another light source must be lighting the sky, but the light is straight. How do we know? Well, look at the shadows of the people. Remember, it's a mirror image, so the light is behind the photographer. How can the shadows on the left point towards the sun? It's impossible. So from this mirror ball image, we understand that light travels in a straight line. It hits the surface of this ball and comes straight into your eye. The ball is curved, the light is reflecting straight. And the horizon on this ball, flat and straight. You see, if light bends, everything will be distorted, as you see in this ball image. The same would apply to the flat earth that we live on. Light travels in straight lines. That's why the reflection on this ball is the way it is. When the sun rises in the east early in the morning, and if you're in a tall building, you go to the west side of the building, you open a window in the west, and what happens?